Hello, welcome. I decided to do another video today on some Destiny 1 stuff since I was here. And, I forgot what all stuff I was up to in the Warlock. Weekly story mission with heroic Arcburn and small arms. You know what, let's do that. Mars and Venus. Hadn't done this in a little bit, so I'll just do this while I talk about stuff. So, I watched the Strand trailer yesterday, because, like, of course I did, new stuff. And I'm super intrigued here.
We can save the traveler. If not, the Vex will seize our world.
Oh, sweet, this is actually the ND one. Hog. Pretty intrigued that this is the story mission. But yeah, Strand's looking pretty spicy. I'm kinda intrigued by it.
Let's head for the gate.
Oh my god, I actually have Praetus on. This is gonna be so funny. It's gonna be so funny. Yeah, I should probably use the Sparrow. Meow. Oh, I have the Bog Sparrow. But it seems like Strand is like very much so going to heavily power creep Stasis as far as like the darkness subclasses go. So it's gonna be really interesting to see how they handle all of that. And I noticed in the little bits from the blog post that I saw was posted today, I believe, that they're going to be tweaking the fragments for the light subclasses again, as well in Lightfall. So it's going to be very interesting to see. I want to see like a little bit more about what they're doing, because I know that they're basically canning all elemental wells. So anything that generated wells is going away completely, I believe, if I read that correctly. I'll double check after this mission. We'll see. Actually, I could double check right now. Let me first and foremost deal with the Hydra. Dealing with the Hydra first is probably priority. Meow. Praetus is gonna be so funny for this mission. Alright, Hydra dead. Okay, so let me double check real quick. While I'm recording, let me take a look at this blog post. See what they're changing, because I want to talk about it just a tiny bit. Also, I hope you all enjoy this live commentary style, because, like, I'm doing this with minimal editing, just primarily because of the setup. Okay, let's see, what's the blog post say? Oh, they respawned. Probably should have went through the gate. Small arms is active though, so I can just basically just kind of melt through things pretty quickly with this. I got heavy ammo. Yeah, there we go. Go through that. Alright, so let me take a look real quick at what they're changing.
Map of known space and time. I guess we just keep going.
Rescale the efficacy of discipline, strength, and each class ability stat on grenade, melee, and class ability regeneration stats. That's gonna be interesting. The regeneration provided by a tier 10 stat is now roughly equivalent to a tier 8 in the previous system. Okay, so they've toned everything down for regen, apparently. To run all the following energy regeneration mods at the same time? Bomber, Outreach, Impact, Induction, Utility, Kickstart, Melee Kickstart, Grenade Kickstart, Invigoration, Insulation, Innervation, Hands-on, Ashes to Assets. That's actually going to be really interesting if you can run all of those at once. That's going to be very interesting. So let's see, what's the other thing that they're doing? Changing some orb generation, it looks like. Oh, wow. Yes, they're nerfing the fuck out of Word of Dawn. Specifically for PvP. That's what they get. Thunder Crash, they have cut half a second, well, almost like half a second, off of the flight time of that. Reduce the size of the damaging volume around the player while in flight, too. Descent now begins earlier in flight. And reduce landing detonation size against players by 20%. And they keep buffing Fist of Havoc for PvE, which is funny. They're making Spark of Resistance require one more enemy to activate, but they're reducing how long it lasts after you're not surrounded. Not a huge change. They're actually buffing Daybreak. Hey, Dawnblade Warlocks, if you like your PvE damage, they're increasing it by 25%, so it might actually be usable. Phoenix Dive is getting its cooldown reduced, that's cool. Seems like they're giving Daybreak some love finally, which is gonna be nice. They also mentioned that they're reducing collision damage, and a little bit after Lightfall drops, they're going to be completely reducing fall damage to where it's no longer lethal, but will instead leave you at 1 HP. So that's going to be pretty nice. They're adding new aspects. So Spark of Instinct and Spark of Haste. Solar is getting Ember of Mercy, Ember of Resolve, and Ember of Tempering, Ember of Combustion, and Ember of Searing. They're basically just redoing some of those. Since there's no longer going to be wells, they're just going to have, like... Basically, if you know what ionic traces are, each element is going to get one of those, except for Stasis, because Stasis has crystals already, and they're not changing that. But they're basically just changing a lot of the aspects of the light subclass to work with those. That was one of the things that I wanted to go over, because it's interesting. Alright, so let me go back to here and continue this mission while I talk about that a little bit. So,
they're in some kind of stasis.
Basically, all of the builds for previous iterations of the game are kind of getting obsoleted. But it's understandable. because what they're replacing it with is going to be much more approachable by new players, I believe. So I will have a video on that as soon as I'm able to mess around with build crafting after Lightfall drops. I'm gonna try to do that as quickly as possible, because I want to have a like crash course guide for people that may be new to the game for Lightfall, or maybe new to build crafting entirely. Since loadouts will be in the game, I can actually share some of them probably as well. Help give you like a little intro course, if you will. Because I know, like, for the longest time, builds and stuff were kind of not super approachable for newer players. And I get it. Like, I totally get it. Build crafting as a whole in Destiny was kind of, like, difficult to approach, I guess would probably be the best way to say it. And that's just purely because there's so many, like, there's so much verbiage in the mods, and which mods work together, which mods don't. The restrictions from elemental affinity on the armor, and so forth. You know, all of that stuff. So hopefully, after these changes, everything will be a little bit more approachable, and I can kind of help explain some of those things if people want it. If you don't want it, that's fine. That's cool. Like, I'm hoping Destiny's reaching a phase now where it's going to offer more people varied ways of play. Because as it stands, like, right now, with everything locked the way there is, there's some things that are just outright better than others. And I've always wanted Destiny to go back to the point of being, one of the sandbox where just about anything can be viable. And you don't have to, like, invest everything into it in order to make it viable. Thank you for the special ammo. Just tearing through those enemies with a Praetus. At least I think this is Praetus. I'll double check here. Let me see, is this Praetus? Am I not going crazy? No, it's Atheon's epilogue. I am going crazy. Ooh, I could swap it out for Zalo. Nah.
The Vex here are powering that barrier. Take them out.
But yeah, like, I've always wanted them to go back to the point in, like, the sandbox where more things were viable. Case in point, like, heavy weapons. Excuse me. Can you not? Let's go ahead and delete that.
Barriers down.
Easy enough. Because, let's see, let me regain my train of thought after clearing through those enemies. Honestly, I miss being able to use machine guns for DPS. Aside from, like, 2. Because, like, after Thunderlord came out, they essentially just blanket nerfed all machine guns instead of just Thunderlord itself. Which I feel like was unfair. And kind of restricted. It was the beginning of the restricting of DPS options. Because, like, I get it before it was, like, rockets. and MGs came out. And then they nerfed them? Because, like, people were using a combination of either, like, Thunderlord or... I always forget the name of the, Black Armory machine gun. But they were using a combination of those two because they were just really solid and had good ammo reserves. Now, like, if you're doing anything that requires boss DPS, you're not using an MG. You're using, like, either a linear or a rocket. And next season, which would be the season of Lightfall, people are probably going to be using GLs and, probably rockets again. Because, like, linears, if they do use a linear, it'll probably be sleeper. Just because of the changes to everything else. Like, Vice Stinger was a big reason people were using linears, specifically the Vice ones. Of course.
Dead end.
Nerfing that, I think, would have just been enough to solve the problem anyway.
Get me close to the clusters.
Like, I don't think they needed to nerf the damage, per se. Because, like, they're still gonna have good reserves and good total damage, they're just not gonna have the burst that they used to. Excuse me, Minotaur.
Just need to break their manifold encryption. I did it. Let's hit the other one.
There's also just, like, a lot of sandbox changes that are coming that I'm a big fan of, like the, kinetic buff. Because I feel like kinetic weapons, in and of themselves, specifically primaries, have been falling behind. Primaries in general have just been falling behind for a while, because why use a primary when you could just... when you could just use, you know, like, a trace rifle instead, in-game. I think that's what everything comes down to. Is it just PvE kind of feels a little restrictive?
It's all starting to make sense. Let's see if it works.
And I hope that they bring everything up more often instead of, you know, bringing things down. Since they no longer have the issue with Divinity just outright making everything a cakewalk. It would be nice to see encounters, you know, retuned to be more approachable. So if primary weapons come back into their own and can at least deal with red bars, that's really the only issue, is that some of them take a little bit longer than would be great. It's understandable, though. Like, I get that they're still working on trying to tune things. But it would be... it's just my opinion, that it would be nice if they would, you know, stop nerfing everything.
The heart of the Black God.
Once it becomes, like, an outlier in the meta.
Here goes nothing.
Because, like,
For everything.
the sniper nerf bothered me the most. Because, you know, being able to do damage from a safe distance is... That's what snipers do. That's what they are. And I don't think they really needed as big of a nerf as they got, but, you know, it happened. We're here. We're in this state right now. But it'll be interesting to see how they change things now after all the changes. I know I just said changes twice, but you know what? That's fine. That's fine. That's okay. We're good. long story short, I think what they're doing for Lightfall is going to make the game more approachable to new players, which is something that they needed to do a while ago.
Think you can kill a god?
Don't think I have a choice.
You know, I think it's good. I think it'll be a good move. And I look forward to seeing how you all think about this as well, because I'm honestly very happy that they started working on more quality of life changes, because the game needs it to stay in, you know, to stay feeling fresh. It really does. And it's needed like a little freshening up for a while. So it's nice to see that they are working on consolidating things, making verbiage a little bit more digestible. And like, the main thing though is the consolidating, because now, like, there's no elemental weld, there's no charged with light build, it's just charged armor builds. So like everything is kind of combined and condensed, and it's so much easier to parse. And I look forward to breaking that down once I get a little bit more knowledge on this.
The heart is bringing that statue to life.
So yeah, as soon as I can, I am going to be making a video on all the changes and whatnot. But I want to hear from you all. If you have any thoughts on this in the comments, please let me know. Okay, there's one dead.
The heart is dying. Keep fighting them.
So yeah, that's about all the thoughts that I had for this. I'm gonna finish this fight and then I'll wrap up the video. But yeah, if anyone has any thoughts, any suggestions for future things to go over, because like, I want to talk about exotics and stuff that I feel like are going to be really fun to mess around with in Lightfall after the changes. Specifically, I know I talked about it on the podcast with Domini Fox, that the buff coming to Leviathan's Breath is probably going to make it a very viable weapon. And I look forward to messing around with it after the changes. Because I feel like it will actually probably take precedence as a champion destroying weapon. And I look forward to seeing like how it gets incorporated. I missed that ability, but it's so overpowered. Yeah, so... Also, this is a new setup that I'm using for this, so let me know how everything is. And, yeah. have any thoughts, suggestions, any exotics you want me to take a look at?
The Shroud of
Because, like,
Darkness
I'm down to do videos on armor pieces, synergies, more stuff like that. Because the last one that I did for Vela's X was really fun. So, that being said, thank you for watching if you've watched this far. And I hope to see you again next week when I upload another video. Or if you want to check out the Twitch streams, I do stream multiple times a week. It's not, you know, usually Destiny all the time. This month, however, I'm doing quite a bit more. So I'll be streaming Destiny again Saturday upon the uploading of this video. Which I'm uploading this video hopefully today on the 8th of February. So we'll see. Anyways, appreciate your time. Hope you're having a good day. And I'll see you again in the next one. Bye-bye.